After the Six-Day War, Israel captured Sinai, half of Golan Heights, and the West Bank. In September 1967, the Arab League rejected any peace, recognition, or the negotiation with Israel. What started was the war of attrition, when Israel built the Bar-Lev line, a series of defenses across the canal, so Egypt started using artillery against Israel. In retaliation, Israel started bombing Egypt, so Egypt got surface-to-air missiles from the USSR. In December 1970, Egypt said if Israel retreated from Sinai, Egypt would make peace, but Israel rejected. In October 1972, Egyptian President Anwar Sadat declared his intention of war and would do anything to get Sinai back. After getting many Soviet weapons, the USSR withdrew their troops from Egypt because they wanted peace. Between May and August, Egypt deployed troops across the border under the disguise of an exercise, and Syria did the same, but Jordan refused to join. Once Israel found out of the attack, they started mobilizing, but it was too late. Egypt's goal was to put on a show of force to make a peace treaty and get Sinai back. On October 6th, Egyptian aircraft bombed the Bir Gif Gafa and Bir Thamada air bases and damaged others. Many electronic jamming and radio stations were also destroyed. Then Egypt started shelling Israel. Egypt's plan was to use hydraulic mining to break down the sand and concrete barriers, and then they would advance 10 to 15 kilometers and establish defensive positions. Egypt's force was 2 armored divisions, 3 mechanized divisions, 5 infantry divisions, and various independent brigades. Operation Badr started at 2 p.m. on 6th October, and at 2:20 p.m. the first of 12 lines of infantry were sent. An amphibious brigade then crossed the Great Bitter Lake, destroying enemy defenses. Israeli reinforcements were stopped because of enemy ambushes, and by 3:30 p.m. Fort Lahdzanet was the first of 15 fortifications to fall. At night, 4 battalions were also airdropped deep into Sinai, and finally, just after midnight, all the bridges were laid. All fortifications except Fort Budapest would be taken. On October 7th, Israel staged a counterattack against the Egyptian forces, but it failed because of Egyptian surface-to-air missiles and bad coordination. That day, there also was a naval skirmish at Marset Alamat when 2 Dabur-class patrol ships sank 2 Zodiacs and a Bertam-class ship ferrying soldiers to Sinai. On October 8th, Operation Badr ended with a failed Israeli assault at Al-Ismailia. On October 9th, the front line stabilized after an attack in the direction of Ras Sudar failed. After a naval skirmish at Damietta and an aerial dogfight at Mansoura, the Battle of Sinai took place on October 14th. To prepare for the battle, Egypt started intense artillery fire and air raids. At north, an infantry division and a brigade of tanks attacked the small town of Rumali, but the Israeli armored division pushed them back. From Ismailia, another Egyptian division attacked but was also beaten back. At the south, an Egyptian division and armored brigade attacked the Milta and Gidi passes. They were also eliminated because they were out of Egyptian air defenses. The tide of war now shifted, and Israel was ready for the advance. On October 15, 217, Israel started the Battle of Chinese Farm as a part of Operation Gazelle, where they would get a bridgehead north of Great Bitter Lake to take Ismailia and Suez. The main force was the 143rd Armored Division. At 4 p.m. October 15, Israel began their attack. The 600th Armored Division went as a diversion, and the 14th Armored Brigade went to the Titter Lexicon Road Junction. Then Egyptian troops started attacking from Chinese Farm. Israeli troops were soon able to capture a road and sent some paratroopers to Sinai, but Egyptian forces regained it. A confused night engagement happened at Chinese Farm, and on October 16th, 2:40 a.m., Israeli paratroopers crossed the canal with boats. By 9 a.m., 2,000 paratroopers and 30 tanks crossed and secured a 4-kilometer bridgehead, plus they started attacking surface-to-air missile sites. The 21st Armored Division at Chinese Farm and the 25th Armored Brigade at Lakeshore were ordered to close the corridor on the morning of the 17th. The 3 armored brigades smashed into the north, and near the Great Bitter Lake, the 25th Brigade was ambushed and destroyed with tank fire. On the 19th, the battle ended when the defenders were pushed back north. More crossing points were added to the mass for a breakout. On the morning of the 18th, they launched an offensive at Ismailia but were stopped. In the south, they were able to take Suez on the 25th. There was a ceasefire deal with the US and the USSR on the 22nd, and most of the fighting ended on the 28th. After the war, there were many peace talks, which ended with Egypt and Syria getting their land back. President Anwar Sadat was a hero, and the Prime Minister of Israel was forced to resign. The end.